Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. So, the Candace thing, the Tyler Robinson thing is just getting more and more insane. I'm convinced that Candace has either gone insane, like she's showing the signs of an insane person. One of my favorite people in the world had a brother and a sister, both of whom were schizophrenics and ended up homeless. One of them died. The other one, I think, is still kind of homeless and paranoid. Always thinks the CIA is after her and, schizophrenic stuff. I have a stepbrother that's, I guess, kind of like that, but I haven't seen him in 30 years. But he's also a guy that kind of wanders around the streets, apparently. I mean, I just get reports of him. But yeah, Candace is showing signs of that. She's, there's, I guess, post-traumatic stress. I hate using the terminology from an industry that I think is mostly built on total bullshit. But, trauma can affect people. I remember when I got pistol whipped and lost 3 teeth in Oakland. It was a year before I kind of returned to baseline. I just had a level of anger that was clouding. It was a clouding force. I was so angry. When you're attacked like that, it just shakes up your reality, So I've been trying to cut her slack. I really have, but it's beyond that now. Now she's just she's going after anybody and everybody. Like, it's starting to be like a crazy person. Like, why is Bill Lyman there? Why? He's awfully involved in this case. Why? I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah, Candace, you're overly involved in it. You're not in Utah. You're overly involved. Anybody that gets interviewed, anybody that posts pictures, if she focuses on you for 5 seconds, you're implicated. I mean, literally anybody. Bill Lyman. It's interesting because this Bill Lyman guy, go watch the video. I posted it on my Facebook. Bill Lyman responds to Candace Owens. I didn't know his name before she brought it up, but as soon as she brought it up, and I could tell that she was just absolutely smearing him with no receipts, no evidence, no nothing. Just a guy, just a face on the internet, just an idea, really. Because that's all this stuff is. When you're not connected to it, you don't know. The difference is, like I said, I know about these characters so well. I don't know Daniel Lyman, but the other character that Candace is referencing is named Truman Van Cott. I looked up his address, and he comes right from that area, right near the college. And the best roommate I ever had in my college age days, I say college age because I only went to 1 semester of college, but was a guy named Van Cott. I won't say his first name just because I guess you're not supposed to do that. But he was my best roommate. I had this white Jetta, diesel Jetta that wouldn't start in the winter, right? He was my roommate. I had to go to work every morning. And the only way I could get the car to start was by a push start. And he would wake up in the morning at 7:30 in the morning, cold as hell, -0, and he'd give me a push start every morning with a smile on his face. I couldn't believe it. Years later, I tried to find him and contact him because I still, when I think about this, I think of how much I took that for granted, Just what he and I didn't have much in common. We weren't pals. We weren't hanging out. He was just my roommate. I had a room for rent, and he rented it, you know? I don't even know how, but just the nicest guy. And this other guy, Truman Van Cott, looks like him, might be his son, might be his nephew. Anyway, it's the same family. It's a, you know, so, I mean, everything about it. The Lyman's wife's name is Shumway. It's a name from all these names, Steele. One of my girlfriends was named Steele. You know, everything about it is just, if anybody has a reason to start going, everything means something, connect the dots, pinning things on a wall, putting red yarn, it's me, for crying out loud. But I'm taking the rational approach. These are people. There were thousands of people there. Thousands of people like Charlie Kirk. People run for office. Good people run for office sometimes. They don't win, usually. It takes a certain amount of evil to actually win. I'm not saying that all people that win office are evil, but I'm just saying it's hard for a good, really good person to win. So this Bill Lyman guy, I discover him just because of Candace obviously smearing him for no good reason. Look up his Facebook page. I see his face. I hear his voice. It reminds me of my buddy Eric, who might be listening to this. A guy from Provo, Utah. He has the same kind of mannerisms and accent. 7 siblings, 5 kids. Voted for Trump. Has a MAGA kind of libertarian conservative attitude. I'm thinking that's a guy I would probably vote for. Seems like a sweetheart of a guy, a fair guy. But now, just because he's commenting, he's implicated, As our Erica, Candace is pretending that she's not implicating Erica. I love Erica, and it's just like, yeah, but you're obviously saying that she's a stupid idiot. She's either in on the cover-up and the murderer, or she's a colossal idiot. You got to pick one, Candace. Either Charlie had 0 friends, and Charlie was such a bad judge of character that he surrounded himself with evil people. He was so dumb that he got a security team that was owned by Israel. And they knocked him off because he's a gullible fool. But not you, Candace. You're sharp as a tack. But Charlie, your dead friend who can't defend himself now, and you can speak on his behalf over the wishes of his wife and his best friends that stayed his friends. Anyway, I don't want to keep going on with this Candace thing, but it's really disconcerting, and I because I really was a big fan of Candace. The courage that I saw with her standing by Kanye's side, standing up to Israel, and speaking truth to power, all that kind of stuff. But see, all the things that she was talking about, I didn't have any I didn't have any connection to Brigitte Macron. None. France. I've been to France. So that's not enough. None. It's all foreign. All that Blake Lively shit, I don't care about that. I would, that gossip stuff, boring as hell. Didn't watch a single episode of any of that stuff. But the Israel stuff, about Kanye and stuff, because we could all see Israel and people treating Kanye poorly. Granted, he was making some big accusations too, But she keeps going, I'm just asking questions. No, you're not. You're making accusations. You're accusing Bill Lyman and his cousin. Like today, she was just like, oh, it turns out that it's not his nephew. Shaner is not his nephew. He's just a cousin. Why is Bill Lyman trying to put distance between? It's just like, are you kidding me, black lady? You don't understand auntie, uncle? You don't understand that you call uncles and cousins, if you're an older cousin, like way older, 40 years older, that you call. I literally have one of my nephews that calls me uncle. And we're not even like direct cousins. We both share the last name. He's a great guy. Glad I know him. But we're kind of distant cousins. But we both have the same last name. I call him cousin. I call him nephew. He calls me cousin or uncle, depending on the day and who he's addressing. That's what we do with family, you dumb bitch. Why is she pretending she doesn't understand? Anyway, is it insanity? Is she going insane? Am I going insane? I don't know. But I mean, it feels personal because when you champion somebody, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The reason why a lot of people don't champion people is because you never know when they're going to go off the rails. And then you're like, oh shit, I vouch for that person. Maybe I should stop vouching for people. It's kind of the problem with being a defender. I'm a natural kind of defender. And then whenever I see somebody attacking somebody else, I'm like, oh, slow down. What makes you so fucking great? He who is without sin casts the first stone. That's kind of like a motto that I have. Of course, I can cast the first stone as much as I want because I have very high double standards. But when I see other people doing it, I'm like, don't do that. I'm a defender. I've defended Candace. And now she's just just the things she's accusing of interest. This kid locked down she said, he locked down his Instagram as soon as I asked him for photos because why isn't he giving me the photos? Well, guess what? You're not the king of the world, Candace. People aren't obligated. You're not the head chief inspector of the globe. You're not even an inspector. You're just some lady with a YouTube channel. That's all. That's all you are. Some loud, obnoxious woman with a YouTube channel and a following. Nobody owes you their cooperation. And anybody, let me tell you something. Right now, currently, if you're on Candace's radar, watch out. You're kind of screwed. The best thing you can do is be quiet. Because if she notices you, no matter what you're doing, it's going to be suspect. Why are you acting like that? That's kind of weird. That's crazy. Did you just blink? Normal people don't blink like that. What are you, some kind of blinker? What are you going to turn? Are you a car now? I don't know. That's just kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know, but I know. No matter what. Oh, you didn't say anything? You didn't respond to me. That's kind of weird. You didn't answer my email. That's kind of weird. Where were you last night? Oh, you went to Dairy Queen? What does that mean? Cows? Lactose? Frozen? I don't know. Who were you with? I need to know. They're from Iceland? Oh, that's convenient. She's fucking insane. But it kind of makes you wonder, is it natural insane? Is she actually insane? Or, because here's my thing, is like, I look at all these pundits on the right, I don't know who to trust. I don't trust anybody, honestly. I try to find sources and go directly to sources because as soon as I get these pundits, this guy, George Webb, I don't know if you look him up. He's either totally insane or he's doing it for clicks or he's working for government and he's there to just actually throw the scent off and make everybody confused. And that's kind of one of these times where you just go, all right, so Candace gets a huge audience. She goes off wacky like this and suddenly everything she's ever said is discredited. That's why today I said, look, I officially recant every nice thing I said about Candace. Because it's like retroactively, she's become so crazy that the association with her is just like totally discrediting in a way. And that's what is kind of maddening. A guy from high school that I know, a friend of mine from high school, we weren't like good friends in high school. He dated my best friend's ex-girlfriend, and my best friend always wanted to talk shit about him because that's kind of what you do about the guy that's dating your ex-girlfriend. So I was immature and I had a problem with this guy in high school, but based on nothing but loyalty to my best friend. But anyway, he's come back to my life. He's a nice guy. He's probably listening. But he asked me because I've been really posting about this Candace thing because I'm taking it personally. It's like, I vouched for you, bitch. I vouched for you hard. I said really nice things about Candace numerous times. And to see her behaving in such a deranged, evil fashion, I'm kind of like taking it as a slight on me. I know she doesn't know me, so don't be weird. But he said, why do you care so much? It seems to be consuming you. Why do you care what other people believe, in reference to moon landings, flat earth, and all these other various things, And my thing is like, that's a good question. Why do I care? And why do I care about the truth? Why does anybody care about reality? Why do I care about reality? Why do I care about the difference between fact and fiction? I mean, we could just go around living in fiction all of our lives. It doesn't really matter what we believe, right? I guess. Or does it matter to me because if everybody around me believes that the air is poison and that I'm poison, and that if I don't put my mask on, and if I don't jab myself with undisclosed ingredients brought to you by some pretty evil people and a big giant drug cartel along with their government buddies, if I don't do that and get a digital ID and have all my movements tracked and sign up for the COVID tracker, because they all believe that the air is poison and I'm poison because I'm breathing out a disease, that matters to me. That affects my life. The whole city, the whole world was shut down. Businesses were closed for good. The whole vibe of my city was changed in 2020 and it hasn't come back because a bunch of people believed shit. They believed shit. They didn't use their senses. They just did what the glowing screen said, what a pundit said, what this pundit, that pundit, this talking head, this writer, this journalist, this politician, this scientist, this expert. They just ignored their own senses and believed it. It's important that people know the truth, and it's becoming increasingly clear to me that the more access people have to, air quotes, information, media, the more they're losing contact with their own ability to navigate and discern right from wrong, true from false, because of their imaginations. And that's what Candace is doing. So she's doing nothing but imagination right now. Nothing. Oh, what's Bill Lyman doing? Did he help orchestrate it with all the security guards? I need to know. Like picking on his nephew. I mean, all this kid did was retrace the steps, which is exactly what I would do if I lived in Utah still. I would absolutely just walk around. Other people have done it. Look, I think it's Tyler Hansen. Maybe there's too many Tylers. Anyway, there's some other guy that I posted on my wall that just takes you on a walk through where Tyler Robinson worked, how he got on the roof and everything. And it shows it's very easy. When he does it, you just go, oh yeah, that's simple. Didn't have to climb anything. Only went past 3 different cameras. This is what good people do. Good people go, I wonder, let me go check. not let me listen to another pundit. They go, let me check, or at least let me look for somebody who's checking. Who's looking for evidence? Let me go find that person. Not who's putting forth this, not who's spinning a web of stories and theories and ideas that are accountable to nothing. To nothing. I can make up any story I want to. I can implicate Steve Perry from Journey. Steve, where were you on the day Charlie Kirk was shot? Don't stop believing. Ha! What does that mean, Steve? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's important that people, to me, if they can keep their foot in reality. God is reality. Okay? Reality is what we're all supposed to be able to look at and discern. I have an apple. I toss it to you. You hold it. I say, is it an apple? You say, looks like an apple to me. Sniff it, lick it, bite it, taste it. We all agree it's an apple. When somebody else comes along, is it though? Is it really an apple? And they plant these doubts. And they say, maybe it's a poisonous apple. Where did you get the apple? The apple is something different. It's created in a lab by China. I don't know. Silly examples, I know. But why is it important to me? It is important to me. I don't know why, but I don't even hang out with people anymore, largely because of these things, when I just find people being so irrational, so unreasonable, so unfair. Can you imagine how unfair it is to just accuse a whole bunch of people? Like, I don't know how many people are. I mean, to me, the way Candace is behaving, every single person who is taking a rational approach is implicated in the cover-up of Charlie Kirk's murder. Now, every student that was there, you know, they're covering something up because they're not coming forward. They're not giving Candace the evidence that she needs. She needs her thoughts confirmed. And if you're not confirming her suspicion that Benjamin Netanyahu did it, then you're in on it. Charlie's in on it. She's literally speaking like she's the only person who loved Charlie. She's putting that forward. You know? Not in those exact words, but she's like, why am I the only person? It's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You aren't the only person. There are hundreds of thousands of people that care deeply about Charlie Kirk, about Jesus Christ, about reality, about their families, about their futures. You think Bill Lyman is trying to make a diabolical, crazy world so that his 5 children suffer? Fuck you. Fuck you, Candace. What an insane, awful thing to say about somebody without any shred of proof. And your fans, oh man, just like I told you, I made a comment on her Twitter. Fans come out, you're in on it, you're in on it. Nice try, bot. How much are they paying you? You know what I mean? The carelessness, the absolute carelessness is just beyond. But why do you care, Merkley? Why do you care? I don't know. I shouldn't. I should log off. I should get back to playing music. You know, I repotted a bunch of plants today. That was nice. I should go to the beach more. I should move closer to family. You know, move back to Utah. That's the interesting thing about the news over the last week. Like I keep saying, I don't actually believe this, but If I wanted to write a fictional story about how God was tapping me on the head and saying, hey, Merkley, Utah, Mormons, Heritage, it's like over the last couple of weeks, it's been Utah this, Utah that, Mormon church gets bombed, you know? It's like every single thing that's coming into the news now is suddenly somehow something I directly relate with, you know? 2 weeks of nonstop cultural relevance or whatever. But I'm not feeling drawn back to Utah. I'm not. I mean, because I know the wokeness has infected the Mormon church too, you know? People are insane there. People have gone insane everywhere. I don't know what it's all about. I'm not trying to make it anything bigger than what it actually is. But really crazy how suddenly everything that I'm seeing on my social media and everything in the news is Mormon this, Christian that, Mormon this, Christian that, Jewish this, Jewish that, Mormon Christian Jews, Mormon Christian Jews, you know? It's like all the things from my childhood are all just coming flooding right back. You know, I don't know. But yeah, why do I care? Why do you care? You know? Why is it important for people to believe? You know? Why do I not want to believe? Why do I want to know things? I'll tell you why. I've explained it again. But there are so many miracles. Existence is a miracle. Just being here, being able to breathe and see and stick your fingers in the soil and dig around some roots and put a plant in a pot and grow a garden, eat an apple off a tree and make some meatballs, refried beans, you know, talking to a magic box to strangers. Everything's so incredible. Clouds, the air, everything. It's all a miracle. There's no belief required. There's literally no belief required to bathe and immerse yourself in the miracle of existence. And you can call that an immersion in God, in reality. His, her, its creation. Not to be gender weird, but like, it's right there. It's right here. It's a miracle. I know it. Belief does not enhance it. Belief actually detracts from it. Belief is when I take a break from the beauty of reality where we can all just examine things. You know, we can examine the curvature of the earth. We can go to the pyramids. You know, we can look at the stones that were built, that built these old buildings, and we can dig through books and see pictures of them building them. And we can try to make them ourselves. We can haul granite from a mountain with a couple of donkeys and some wheels. And with our little tools and some chisels, we can make sculptures out of that granite or the marble. And it's all a miracle. We can do it. And it's been a miracle since time began. Or we can get sidetracked from that knowledge of the miracle and we can go into these stupid fucking theories that Candace has. You know? We can get sidetracked into belief. Well, I believe that. Well, I believe that. Well, I believe that. Fuck you. Shut the fuck up. Who gives a fuck what you believe? What do you know? Tell me what you know firsthand. I don't give a fuck about your beliefs. What do you know? People have forgotten what they know. I kind of want to go out and do those street videos where you take a microphone and start asking people questions. But I'm in hostile San Francisco. And voting for Donald Trump is almost a death sentence here. You know? But that's a question, you know? You could ask people with a microphone, what do you know? What do you know? You know what my suspicion is? Because I've asked some people this, but a lot of times when you ask people what they know, they tell you things that they believe. They tell you things that they heard secondhand, like something they read in the Bible, Book of Mormon, whatever the Hindu scriptures are, the Torah, the Quran. They'll tell you what they believe. They'll go into a belief system, something that they didn't experience firsthand, although a lot of times they'll say that they did experience it because maybe they had a vision of an angel or a dream or a strong electric feeling that made the hairs stand up on their neck. You know, they had a good, warm, fuzzy feeling. And they'll say that's no, but they almost never say, I know that chocolate's delicious. I know that cool air in the spring is just a wonderful feeling. I know that I love my dog. I know that bananas are incredible. I know that smoothies are fantastic. I know that it's amazing to get a hug from somebody you love. You know? Most people don't say those things. I know that it feels good to lay down on a soft bed. I know that sand between my toes on the beach is just an amazing feeling. I know that making eye contact with a seal in the water is magical. I know that being friends with pigeons and knowing them by the names and knowing their different personalities and watching wild birds excited to see me is a fantastic, miraculous experience. And to see your little friend that comes to visit you every single day by their own free will, these 30 or 40 pigeons, by their own free will, because I give them snacks, I give them seeds. But they come back every day, they recognize me, and I know that when I see them on the street, not on my deck, they also still recognize me, and I see them flying. And when I step out of my deck, they see me from 2 blocks away, and they come flying to me, and they say, that's my friend, that's my guy. And I say, those are my friends, and look at them flying over here, doing stunts that are crazier than Blue Angels. We get out and watch the Blue Angels, and it's pretty cool, but I got a bunch of friends that do that all day, every day. Flying these crazy loop-de-loops. And how I know, just from looking, I don't even need to see Porky's head. I just know what direction he's coming. When I'm looking at my sliding glass door, I know by his walk. It's like, oh, there's Porky. He's just a gray pigeon. A gray standard pigeon, but I know Porky so well, I don't even need to see his face. I can just see his feet, and I know it's Porky. And I'm never wrong. That's incredible. That's incredible that we have those tools, that our senses are so in tune. I mean, I have theories about this, Like, I'm such good friends with these pigeons, and I know them so well but you can't really, there's certain pigeons that have markings that you can tell them apart, right? And I tag these guys. Anybody that gets stuck in my house, they get a little foot band. And that's how I tell a lot of them apart. But a lot of them don't have that. Like Porky, for example, standard gray, but I've always known him. I did put a tag on him eventually just because I had a rule. I kind of regret that I did it because it was really fun knowing that it was him without anything else and being right every time. But here's what's weird is I'll see a bird flying towards me, a pigeon flying towards my deck from 200 yards away. and I'll know it's Porky. And it's not because I recognize his flight. I don't. It's not because he looks different in the sky. He doesn't. Not at all. But I know it's Porky. I go, here comes Porky. And then he flies down and it's Porky. It's him. That's some magic fucking radio frequency weird shit. I guess it's kind of like how if you're in a house and you live with your brothers and sisters and you hear the door open upstairs, you know which one is coming in the house. You know, you can just kind of tell. It's not exactly their walk. You're not looking at them, but you can just kind of, triangulate a bunch of different things, and some of the things are invisible. Well, I'm telling you, there's invisible shit with these pigeons. It's not with all the birds, but with Porky, it's just, I always just know it's Porky. And he was the first one to show up too, by the way. He was the first pigeon I made friends with. I worry about him a lot. I think, one day Porky's not going to come back. He's the smartest of all the birds. He was the first one. He's the one that staked out my house, and I was trying to make friends with the crows, So I had a bias against pigeons, so I actually taught Dum Dum to chase him off the porch. But he was persistent, and I made friends with him, and gradually he brought his entire tribe around. And he's created like a bunch of offspring by living in the pie cooler at my house. Anyway, I'm off track. But why do I care? Why do I care? Because life is a miracle. Freedom is a miracle. Honesty, truth, reality is important. Love is important. And we can't let people hijack reality. We can't let them win this war between good and evil. There is objective good and there is objective evil. And it is objectively evil to create doubt and confusion and fear and anger in people that doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to be there. Because all it takes is being fair. Being understanding. So anyway, it's not like I'm out here doing a bunch of shit to change the world. I'm making these stupid, dumb recordings and yelling at people on the fucking glowing screen like an idiot. Like a fucking idiot. Engaging with the Candace Owens tribe. Distancing myself on the phone. I want my Facebook feed to be... I want it to be pure. I want to be able to stand behind. Oh, God. Why do I care? I don't know, because I'm a fucking dumb human being with feelings. Maybe because I made the terrible mistake of believing things in my life. Believing the lies of intellectualism, moral relativism, and freedom to just do whatever I want. The media, the lies of fame and adulation. And I've ended up a 58-year-old man with no friends and no family. I've got offspring, but I didn't raise her. She thinks I'm crazy. Crazy Trump supporter. Conservative asshole. I mean, she's never said as much, but I see her posts. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe that's why I care. I know there's no young people listening to this, so it's kind of stupid to make a recording about caring, to try to warn people not to take the path I took when they're not listening. That's kind of pointless. That's kind of stupid, right? But I know there's some other people out there, not very many, honestly. Of all the people that I knew growing up, not many of them made the mistakes I made. You know, not many of them abandoned their cities, their towns, and their families and their friends, to pursue worldly things. Most of them have kids and grandkids now. Not all, but most of them did, While I was thinking I was so much smarter than being religious, Too big for my britches. Too big for the small pond, man. I gotta get out of this small pond. I'm a big fish, man. All that nonsense, that's why I care. That's why I care. And I know that the people that swindled me and convinced me, they're out doing it to a bunch of young people right now. And it angers me. It angers me that I was tricked. It angers me that I fell for the trick. But it really does anger me that I was tricked. Dishonesty angers me. Because here's the thing that I've been noticing over the last week, and one thing that struck me watching Bill Lyman and a lot of these Mormons getting interviewed. Mormons are very trustworthy, okay? And they are also very trusting. So they're very good marks. A lot of multi-level marketing targets Mormons. The CIA recruits a lot of Mormons because Mormons don't really look for the bad in others. They look for the good in others. And they often vouch for people that they shouldn't vouch for. That never went away. I call it gullibility. When you find somebody that's a trusting person, you can trick them. You can trick them, And I'm not going to just say that I was tricked. I take responsibility for my actions, but I was tricked. The media, the bands, the artists, the record companies, the news stations, Hollywood, their intent was clear. It was to take good people and turn them into guys like me. That's the whole goal. That's what they're doing with these kids. Confusing them about gender, hopefully getting them on puberty block, making eunuchs out of them. These people that convinced me, and it's no fun admitting it, but they don't want people to breed. They're perfectly happy. I'm a success story in their books. A man that has capabilities and talents and a good background, that instead of going out and creating a family, he didn't. It ends with him. I mean, I get it. I've got offspring. I don't think she's ever going to have children because she's fully indoctrinated, or seems to be, into this. Why would you bring a child into this world? Humans are terrible, So they got to me and they got to her. And I'm sad about that. And I'm angry about it. And I'm angry with people who lie and try to convince others that life is terrible. that being smart is important, that being influential is important, that being worldly is important, that you got to get out of your small town. Anyway, that's why I care. Because I'm a dummy. I'm a dumb man with rational regrets, trying to make something good out of it, and mostly failing. Anyway, thanks for listening. Unnecessary outro song to totally waste more